I'm Carol Gyzander. I'm going to read a piece of my story, Face It, from the Devil's Due anthology. There it is. The Devil's Due, Nothing is Ever as It Seems, just out from Valhalla Books, edited by Adam Messer and Aledria Hurd. And the story I'm reading a piece of is called Face It by Carol Gyzander. Connor drove down the two-lane highway, heading to their country house after their latest visit to the hospital. Amy, his wife, sat dozing in the seat next to him. It was late at night, and she was exhausted from the rounds of medical testing she'd undergone. Again, none of it had shown any difference. No good news. He sighed and rubbed his face to try and wake up, his blue eyes bleary with fatigue. Wouldn't do to run off the road. I'm just so tired of it all. His glance flickered over to his wife. The side of her face that was toward him was smooth and unlined, but he knew what the other side looked like, had been staring at it over breakfast every day for the past 2 years, creased and full of pus-filled blisters, and part of the cheekbone eaten away. Her eye was sunken down into her face. It was just a matter of time until it spread to the side nearest him or her brain. For now, in this moment, he could almost pretend she was not affected by the terrible disease. But deep down in his heart, he knew she was dying. Knew what the doctors told them every time. There was no cure, no way of arresting the progress of the flesh-eating disease. They even had a name for it, ETR. It made his fists clench and his stomach roil. He knew the letters stood for some technical terms, but could never make himself remember them. He couldn't get past the idea that the damn disease was eating his wife alive and just called it Eater. Her head lolled a little as she slept, turning toward him, and when he glanced over the next time, he saw the ravage of the other side of her face, which extended down her neck and shoulder into her arm. Her hand was clenched and twisted in her lap. Eater, fuck me. He replayed in his mind the reaction of the people at the hospital as they'd brought her in. The way even the medical professionals had pulled back from her, not to mention the way ordinary people reacted to the two of them. It had gotten difficult for them to go out in public anymore. People feared she was contagious, which she wasn't. And countless times they had been refused service at a restaurant or asked to leave a cocktail lounge. People wouldn't even shake his hand. Connor and Amy had been the it couple for years, with money, prestige, society connections. Then their busy social life, once so bright and vibrant, had slipped away as her eater disease progressed. They spent most of the time home alone. Friends no longer stopped by to visit. What kind of life is this for either of us? She had pleaded with him to help her finish the struggle. I just can't do it myself, she'd said. But I can't stand what this is doing to you, to us, but mostly to you. I know I'm going to die. Where's the quality of life anymore? Her one good eye had searched his bright blue ones, looking for some kind of a response. He had refused, of course. How could he kill his wife? Even if she begged him, which she had, in a stunning display of the power that desperation and anxiety could have over a strong person, she had let her normally capable veneer slip away and show her inner fear. And he had turned her down. What does that make me? Don't I love her anymore? Or maybe I'm just afraid of going to jail. Of course, he already felt like he was in jail. No friends, no life, just stay home and watch Netflix while he took care of his sick wife. She didn't deserve it, but then again, he didn't either. Only one part of his mind was on the driving, as they were the only car on the road at that late hour. He took a corner on the rural road a bit too fast, and the car swerved along the shoulder. He gave himself a scare as he yanked the wheel to pull the car back into the lane. Wow, almost drove off the road there. Would have hit the trees, and at this speed? Damn. Well, if it killed us, at least she would have gotten her wish. He mulled this thought as he drove along at a more sedate speed. She had not even woken when the car swerved, had no idea of the danger they had just averted. The steady consumption of painkillers her condition required left her mostly absent from his world. But if I do that, It kills us both. Is that what she wants? I don't think so. She just wants to end her suffering and therefore end mine. She doesn't want for me to die too. Right? He looked over it again and then reached out to hold her hand where it lay on her lap. I love you, darling. But maybe you are right. This is no life for you. Or for me. He released her hand and slid his fingers down to the buckle of her seatbelt, pushed in the button, released the belt, controlling it to let it retract quietly into the door. Okay, I'm not really going to do it, but if I do fall asleep on the road, she wouldn't want to walk away from the accident, right? She wouldn't. Of course, I would be okay. Oodles of airbags in this car. I mean, with my seatbelt on and the airbags, I'm sure I'd be fine. What about her? He looked over at the dashboard on her side of the car, saw the button for the passenger airbag, idly reached up a hand, stroked the button, pushed it in. It lit up, passenger airbag off. Well, that would probably make a difference, wouldn't it? I mean, if I actually fall asleep on the road, it's not like I'm planning to or anything, but if I did. She did ask me to. She begged me. She's had enough. I'll be doing her a favor. It's not just for me, so that people stop identifying me with this horror that's eating my wife. Fucking eater. No, it's not just for me. His hands tightened on the wheel and his foot pressed harder on the accelerator. The car leapt forward, barreling down the deserted two-lane highway, through the woods at breakneck speed. He had trouble making one curve, the tires screeching as he went around it. Her head lolled back and forth, but she didn't wake. Too many pain meds. He saw the perfect situation up ahead. The road curved to the left with a large clump of trees on the right. Her side. He took a deep breath and settled himself in the driver's seat, moved one hand off the wheel. They said that airbags going off commonly push the driver's hand into their face, breaking their arm and smashing their teeth. No point in messing up my own face, is there? He kept going toward the corner. The road banked slightly to the left, but he steered straight ahead, not following the curve. As he drove off the road, heading for the trees, his breath caught in his throat. I love you, honey. But I love me more. Then all went black. I'm going to jump over the hospital scene where he discovers that, yes, Amy was indeed killed in the crash. He has mixed feelings, but mostly relief. He has a broken arm and his face is heavily bandaged. It really was apparently smashed in the accident. Connor's been getting round-the-clock care. So he wasn't really surprised when he woke in the middle of the night with someone in his room. His gaze was drawn to the light at the end of his bed. A man in a black robe and old-fashioned colonial wig sat at a raised desk, holding a gavel and staring down at him with red eyes. The man was lit from behind with a harsh glow so that Connor had trouble seeing his face. About time you woke up. I've been waiting, the man said. What the hell? Connor flailed around in the bed a bit, then realized he wasn't going to be able to sit up on his own. Why are you in my room, and where's that light coming from? He looked at the base of the judge's bench and saw only swirling dark clouds outlined against a bright light. Why is anybody here? That's the question. Why are you here and your wife isn't? Connor's hand went to his mouth. The car, there was an accident, you see, she died. The man nodded his head, frowning. I see. That's your story? Yes. Who are you and why are you here? Are you with the medical staff? I'm asking the questions here. So you say your wife died? Connor nodded. What's going on? Is he a judge? The man sat back and crossed his arms at the desk, looking down his nose at Connor. I say she was killed. I say you killed your wife. Can you deny that? Connor gasped. It was an accident, I swear. The car went off the road at the curve. I must have fallen asleep or something. Am I in court or what? Well, there will be a judgment here. That's for sure. I'm going to stop there because of time. Connor's offered a deal where he can fix his face and atone for the death of his wife, but as the book says, nothing is ever as it seems. You can read more of this and other stories in The Devil's Due on Amazon or at valhallabooks.com. Thank you. I'm Carol Gyzander.